little bit later on, I'm gonna wire up a little Ficus petersii cutting. So I figured, while I was gonna, since that's just gonna be a pretty short video and everything, I'm gonna go ahead and update this guy. I repotted it a couple of months ago, and since then I actually got that wire on there just to kind of keep it tucked in a little bit. This is a cat skull. I explained it in the video when I repotted or whatever, but don't worry, I didn't go around killing any cats or anything. It was just one that I found in my yard. This side I didn't really expose too much more, just because that was where all the feeder roots were coming from. Kind of looks like eventually I'm going to wind up with a root going in the eye, which may or may not look pretty cool. We'll just see what happens when I get it up there, but I'm going to go ahead. I thought I'd just share the update since the other video was only going to take just a couple seconds here or whatever, but also I'm going to take this guy out, this branch out. It's just kind of sticking straight up there, and I wanted to just kind of prune it up a little bit. This piece has been really weak, so I'm just going to leave that alone. And then take that one out. There's another growing tip there. I'll leave that. Looks like a lot of the energy was coming out this way, and I'm just going to kind of do that. I think I got a couple of those growing tips. I think I left one. And so we'll see how it responds there. Eventually I'm going to take this piece off, but right now I'm kind of leaving that on there to let it build some strength, and there's a little just in case. If it gives up on these other branches, it'll have some life there. I would try to maybe adjust that wire a little bit, maybe wire it down just a little bit tighter. Still doesn't have the greatest hold on that skull, so I'll just leave it like that. I think maybe another year or two I'll be able to kind of rise it up a little bit and everything, and I'll worry about all that then. Alright, so I updated on that root of the skull, Ficus petersii. It's because I was planning on working this guy a little bit, and I figured this probably won't take too long. But anyway, this is a, it's a cutting that I took from that bigger parent tree that I have. And a few months ago, I noticed it was really flexible. And so I kind of bent it over here. Actually, I had a little piece of wire on it, kind of holding it up a little more like that at one point, in the hopes that this would just kind of grow up. And really all this has done is just kind of sag lower and lower and lower. Just kind of gets heavy when it rains. It rained yesterday, and it was just kind of sitting on the ground. Had all kind of ants all over it and everything. So I cleaned the ants off. I was planning to repot it late in the fall so I could try to work it in the spring, and I just kind of been putting it off and just saving it and just kind of doing some other stuff. And now I really don't think I'm going to do any repotting until at least late January, early February, because it is mid-November. I'll work the trees, I'll cut, I'll prune them, I'll wire them, I'll do all kinds of things, but I don't really want to disturb the roots. We've got a bunch of lows coming up here soon in the 50s and everything, so I'm not going to do anything like that. But what I am going to do, since I can, is I'm going to anchor a piece of wire just in the substrate in the pot. I'm going to try to get the stump a little more. I think part of what I did when I bent it is I just kind of made the stump out of sorts there, and maybe it affected the health of the tree just a little bit. So I'm going to try to anchor a piece of wire right in here. Or actually, maybe I'll do the other side so I can kind of pull it back and hold it up. I think that's what I'll try to do. So right in there. And then just kind of run it up here and get some movement in. That was the idea, is I was hoping I could kind of bend it over and then just let the sun kind of pull it back up. And, if it's not, if I don't do a literally or whatever, at least it'll just be a trunk with some movement to start instead of just being so straight. Do got to keep in mind that I got to get it down on the substrate and then try to get it wrapped around. I think what I'm going to wind up doing is pruning this piece off and then kind of just trying to wire up the whole thing there. Let's see how this goes. I never really do much anchoring just into the substrate like this. But I kind of feel like I had to do something. I was also just considering cutting this piece off that I said that was dragging down on the ground and had the ants all over it, and then hoping the sun would kind of pick that back up. But the way it kind of looked like it's separated from the soil there a little bit, I am going to try to, if I do this, I can get the trunk a little more in line with where it should be. was planning on taking that off. And I kind of think that because of how flexible this trunk is, I can really get that to go all the way back like that. And then get this piece to give me something that's a little more along the lines of that. Alright, left all the growing tips out there. And should be something a little more interesting than just a straight trunk from the cutting or whatever. We'll see what next spring brings us. I anticipate this will probably be cutting in pretty well come February or March. Thanks for watching.